If you guys are new to the shotgun build series that we've been doing, if you want to see the rest of the build series and all the upgrades and stuff, I'll put a little link right up here in the corner. But for a full build list, I will put a link below to my blog post. That way you guys can check all that out. I'll go over the cleaning supplies that we're using as well as we move forward. And also at my blog post, I will have coupon codes and links for all the cleaning supplies. So before we even get started, we want to make sure that the gun is clear. And the way you do that, pull this little guy up right here, pull your action back, look down into the barrel. Also, make sure this is my red follower that I have. You just take this little guy right here at the front, and you just start turning that to the left, and that's gonna just screw off just like that. Just set that to the side. Down in here, you can just stick your finger in and then turn it until it comes out like this. There's the cap to it. Here comes the spring. Set that over to the side, and then I just turn it over like this, and then there is your follower. And I had an upgraded. I did use an aluminum. This is an aluminum follower. I will have a link over at the blog post for this as well. Now from here, with your bolt back and everything, you could just slide off your barrel just like this. And that's just gonna come off. We will set that to the side and take care of that in a minute. So now we need to take these pins out. They shouldn't be too awfully difficult, but I got a little bench block here and a hammer and punch. We definitely are gonna need the punch. Usually the front one is a little bit more difficult than the rear one just because of the tension that's on it. But we'll go ahead and take the rear one out first. Place your punch, and that'll just come on out. Then we'll get to this front one here, like this. That one had a little bit more tension on it, but it came out as well. I usually just throw those in here upside down, set that to the side. To get everything else out, guys, if you can see down in here, I don't know how well you can. There's these little action bars down here. You just kind of just press them to the side and you pull on your fore end. So you're gonna do one side here, go to the other side, and then that just slides on out. And then with that comes your bolt and your bolt carrier. So there's your bolt here. So there's that. And then here's your little carrier right here. Now we need to pull the trigger group out. And because we already got those pins out, this should just pop right on out. You just pull it out like so. And then there's your trigger group. So before we get started on a bunch of those little spots, something I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spray some solvent. You can use a CLP or a solvent lube like I'm using. I'm gonna be using Shooter Lube, which I do have like a coupon code for over at the blog post. So there'll be a link and a coupon code over there if you want to try out some Shooter Lube. But I'm just going to spray some solvent down in here, just like this, to clean, and just let that sit for a minute. And that's pretty much it for that at the moment. And then I'm going to come over here to my other parts, my bolt carrier. I'm going to soak these down with the solvent as well. And I'm just going to spray them down, you know, I mean, it's not really that hard. Just spray them down. That way it'll start eating that carbon off and everything. Set those to the side. Now let's move on to the barrel. So for the barrel, I'm actually going to be using a ripcord, which I'll show you in a second. But before we do that, I'm just going to spray some solvent right here on the hood down into the barrel. I'm going to spray it in from the other end. Sometimes these little sprayers, they might not reach the other end of the barrel. That's good to go. Now I'm going to take my fore end here, and I'm just gonna wipe off right here. I'm gonna just wipe these rails off. They don't look like they have any carbon on them. So just wipe those off just like that. And we'll call that a day, at least for the moment, until we go back for reassembly. Now we got our trigger group here. What you wanna do, turn your safety, take the safety off, hold your hand here on this hammer, and then pull that trigger and let that hammer go forward just like that. And what I'm looking for in here is any carbon buildup. But you know what? I'm gonna be really honest with you. I'm not really seeing a whole lot, especially considering we have over 100 rounds through this. Because it's not that freaking dirty, I'm just gonna wipe it off with a dry towel for the moment. But if it is dirty, you know, you can just spray a little bit of CLP or solvent on it, get that carbon off, and then don't lube it yet. We'll talk more about that here in a bit. So now, I got this ripcord here, this Otis ripcord. There will be links and coupon codes, like I said, over at the blog post. I've been using these on my handguns and ARs, and they actually work really, really well. It almost looks like one of those monkey fist paracord things. But yeah, you basically just take this, and you can actually clean your barrel while it's still attached with these. You just stick it through and then you just pull it through and it's just gonna come right on through. All right, got that one pass through. Let me look down it real quick. Yeah, it's gonna definitely need another pass. Just from right here, you know how much dirt that front one caught. So it's got like 3 little enlarged portions to grab dirt. And you can see that front one is so much dirtier. And you know, I don't know if you guys can see this. Yeah, it's gonna be hard for you guys to see it, but yeah, there's still some carbon down in it. So I'm gonna do another pass. All right, so it looks like the carbon down in the barrel is gonna be a little bit stubborn today. So I'm gonna spray some more down in there and we're gonna let it soak a bit. Just a little bit longer. All right, so while that's soaking a little bit longer, let's go back over here to our receiver. And I'm gonna take a microfiber. I'm just gonna go in there and clean everything out. Get these sides real good, especially where these rails go right in here. I mean, you could use whatever method of getting this crud out that you wanna use. I just really like microfiber because the chances of you messing something up are pretty slim and I like them a lot. Another thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look down my magazine tube. And I just want to make sure that it's clean. One of the biggest reasons that a lot of shotguns have like failure to feeds or, you know, and things like that, or loading issues is because the magazine tube is dirty. So make sure that down in this magazine tube, if you are going to clean it, I would run a dry patch through it. Don't put any oil or anything. Otherwise it's going to get gunked up, but mine is looking pretty darn clean. So I'm probably not going to even run anything through it. All right. So now I got this upper receiver guy here pretty cleaned up right now. All right. Let's go back to our bolt since we're letting this barrel sit. So I'm just going to wipe this off with the microfiber. Or, you know, we also have these little brushes here. If you have any stubborn carbon that won't come off, just use a brass bristle brush or a plastic. Don't use any steel bristles. That will really mar up some surfaces. And I'm just gonna be cleaning it off like this, making sure I get all of it off. And then here's the face of it. I'm gonna make sure I get that clean. And then something else I'm gonna look at here, I'm gonna be looking at this extractor right here. A lot of times on Glocks, if you get like some erratic ejections, because the extractor has carbon buildup on it, and that could be the same thing with this. I haven't been noticing any issues, but I just wanna make sure that there's no carbon on that extractor. And a little bit down in here. Just gonna clean that with the brush. All right, okay, cool. So there's that one. Now let's look at the carrier here. It's been soaking for a minute, so I'm just gonna be wiping this off, getting all that solvent off of it. Good thing about this solvent is it's non-toxic and it's not really abrasive on like finishes. It's mainly just abrasive on carbon. So if you do leave a little residue on there, you don't really have to worry about this solvent eating through anything. So that's a good thing. Just to be sure, I'm just gonna use my brush down in these corners. Just like that. And it looks like we're doing pretty good here. All right, let's run this ripcord through this barrel again. Make sure we can get all that carbon out of it. It makes a cool noise. All right, you guys can't really see it, but I did look down the barrel and I got all the fouling and carbon out of it. Take a look at these feed lips. I'm just want to make sure all the carbon is off of those. Up here on the barrel hood. Looks like we're good to go, guys. So now for my, I'm gonna spray a little bit of this lubricant on here. Go to my rails. Solvent, sorry. And I'm just gonna test these. These don't seem to be very dirty, so that's a good thing. So for our trigger group here, just gonna pull this hammer back again into the reset position. I'm gonna put just a tiny little drop of oil right here on the surface. That's what the manufacturer says. And then a very little drop on this spring back here. And that's from Remington themselves. But aside from that, you should be okay not lubricating anything else. So now on our receiver here, we're just gonna put this back in just the way we got it out. Sometimes this thing can be a little bit of a bear, just because it's kind of strange sometimes, but get it back in there, get your holes lined up. I'm gonna install the front one first and then the rear one. It doesn't really matter. So I'm just gonna get that started and start tapping it in. And I am using a nylon mallet here. We can do the rear one. Got those in. Those are good to go. Next, I'm just gonna put a tiny bit of oil on these rails. And when I say tiny, I mean a tiny little drop right there. And I'm gonna just really, I'll probably even wipe all that off. I just wanna get a thin coat right here. And that's just gonna help, you know, when you're pumping the action and everything. Now to reinstall the bolt carrier, what we need to do is take our fore end, flip it right side up, and set your carrier on there like this. Rounded it, there's some little grooves here, so it'll be fine. And then you just take your bolt, you just set your bolt on it like this, right here. We're gonna thread this right through, just like this. Okay, back over our magazine tube. So make sure that your extractor is faced out, start pushing in until it stops, and then reach in and push those little latches that we push to get it out. It will go all the way in for you, just like that. Then we're gonna take our barrel here. Then what I do is I will push this button, bring the bolt back. I'm gonna pull it out just slightly, and then that way I can get this barrel back in. Just like that. Now we could take our follower here, turn it in the right orientation until it starts sliding down the magazine tube. Put our spring in. Take our little end cap here. Well, this ain't the end cap. This is the end of the magazine spring that captures it. Turn it until it comes back. It looks like it's going to come out, but it catches itself. So it will stick out like that once it's completely seated properly. Then we're just going to take our end cap here, thread that on, and now we have a clean Remington 870 Tactical. A couple things, guys. There's a bunch of different ways that you can clean these guns. This is just the way that I'm doing it right now. So I do encourage you to watch other people's videos as well, because I do actually make a lot of mistakes in my videos. Because guys, I'm not an expert at any of this. This is just kind of my hobby that I've kind of turned into a job. And now I'm learning as I go. And I like that approach because you guys get to learn right along with me. Don't forget, I'm going to be doing a few more upgrades to this in the future, which we'll make videos about. But so far, so good. We got 100 rounds through it. No malfunctions. I took the rail off. We're going to be doing some other upgrades to it. Probably do a magazine extension, some other stuff. But guys, there'll be a full build list over at the blog post. There'll be a link below for the blog post. And then all the cleaning supplies that I'm using, there'll be coupon codes and links over there as well. But let me know if you guys have any questions down in the comments section below, or if I made any mistakes, call me out on it. I really don't care. But until next time, guys, you guys know the drill. You stay sexy, and I love you.